What would you do if the person you trusted most in the world shared your bed at night, but by 2 a.m. was stealing from your wallet? That's exactly what my husband did. He waited until I was asleep, slipped out of bed like a thief, and copied my credit card information from my purse. By the time I woke up, over $50 had vanished, gone into luxury designer purchases and first-class flights to Europe. And a week later, he strutted through the front door wearing an Italian leather jacket, flashing a Rolex, and smirking, "Thanks for the upgrade." But here's the part he didn't know. The card he used? It wasn't linked to my real accounts. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just sat down and smiled. Because while he thought he was 10 steps ahead, he just walked into a trap I'd set without even realizing it. So stay with me, because what started as betrayal turned into a legal, financial, and emotional takedown so precise. He never saw it coming. I wasn't born suspicious. I used to be the kind of woman who left her phone unlocked, her keys by the door, and her heart wide open. I'd been married once before, young, naive, broke. When that ended in betrayal and bankruptcy, I told myself, next time, you'll choose better. So when I met Jason, I wanted to believe I had. He was charming in that effortless way, well-dressed, attentive, good with words, 5 years younger, and somehow still made me feel like I was the lucky one. I was 45, owned my home, ran a small but successful interior design business. He worked in tech, though I never quite understood what exactly he did. He'd always say things like, "It's complicated, baby. Lots of moving parts. You wouldn't want to be bored with the details." At first, I laughed it off, but those details started to show. It began with little things. He forgot his wallet constantly, asked to borrow my card at restaurants, bought expensive wine when we hosted dinners, and let me foot the bill. Then came the comments. "You're so good with money. I'm just the creative one. You handle the numbers." Babe, I trust you. And I did handle everything. The mortgage, the utilities, the taxes. At first, it felt like teamwork. Eventually, it felt like I was a personal finance manager in a one-woman marriage. I had one rule, though, never share direct access to my accounts. Not because I didn't love him, but because I'd learned the hard way, love doesn't pay debt collectors when things go south. Still, I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't prepared, not until that one night, just weeks before everything unraveled. I remember waking up around 2:01. Jason wasn't in bed. The hallway light was on, casting a glow against the wall. I got up, groggy, and padded toward the kitchen. He was standing there, shirtless, phone in one hand and my wallet in the other. He looked up, startled, then smiled too fast. "Babe, I couldn't sleep. Just ordering something for your birthday. Go back to bed." I wanted to believe him. So I did, but something about it lingered. The next morning, I checked my accounts. Nothing strange. Still, a little voice inside me whispered, "Check again tomorrow." That's when I decided to test something. Years ago, after my first divorce, I had set up a dummy credit card tied to a controlled, low-limit business account I rarely used. I kept it in my wallet, in the same slot as my active cards, just in case someone ever tried to pull something. I called it my canary in the coal mine. That night, I moved it to the front slot and waited. Over the next few days, Jason acted normal, sweeter. Even he cleaned the kitchen, made dinner, told me he was planning something special. Then, one morning, he was gone. I found a note on the fridge. "Emergency trip to Europe. Work-related. I'll call soon. Love you." Work-related. He never even packed his laptop. I went straight to my office, logged in, and checked the dummy card. And there it was. $50 gone in 36 hours. Designer stores, luxury hotels, international flights, all under my name. My stomach turned. My hands went cold. But strangely, I didn't panic, because I already had what I needed. He didn't steal from me. He walked right into the one trap I'd left open without realizing it. So while he sipped champagne over the Atlantic, thinking he'd won, I was sitting at my desk, building the case that would destroy him. The card had been maxed out in less than 2 days. $4, $800 at Louis Vuitton in Paris, $6 or $200 at the Ritz-Carlton in Amsterdam, $11 at a watch boutique in Geneva, first-class flights, Michelin restaurants, a private yacht charter, all under my name, all traceable. I should have cried. I should have called the bank and screamed. But instead, I opened a new folder on my laptop, titled it Jason Europe, because this wasn't just theft, this was war. I contacted the card issuer immediately. They flagged the transactions, froze the card, and reassured me they would investigate the matter thoroughly. But I wasn't going to wait for a corporate process. I needed more. I logged into our home's Wi-Fi admin panel and pulled device activity logs. His phone had been connected to the network at the same time as the transaction trail began, confirming he used our home internet to make the first few purchases. From there, I followed breadcrumbs, emails he'd forgotten to log out of, a hotel reservation that used my personal phone number as a backup contact, a shipping confirmation from a luxury goods site sent to my inbox by mistake. I tracked him city by city. Then I noticed something else. He wasn't alone. One photo changed everything. It was embedded in a hotel review he posted under a fake name. Jason liked to vent about bad service online. But this time, the profile picture gave him away. He was in Rome, arm around a woman with long red hair. They were laughing over wine on a rooftop patio. The caption, a proper getaway. Finally, she wasn't just a fling. She had appeared before. In a blurred photo on his phone last year, he told me she was an old co-worker. Now I knew better. Still, I didn't confront him. Didn't call, didn't text, didn't post a word. Instead, I met with a lawyer. A friend had once told me, never take revenge in anger. Take it with receipts. And I had plenty. We reviewed my prenup. It had one crucial clause. Any proven act of financial deception voided his right to joint assets. But to trigger it, I needed airtight documentation. So I built a timeline, matched purchases to timestamps, collected screenshots, even printed the hotel photo and annotated it with geolocation data. My lawyer smiled. He just gifted you everything he thought he was stealing. Meanwhile, Jason kept texting. Landed in Madrid. You'd love this suite. Babe, I got you something special. You're gonna lose it when you see the ring. The audacity was breathtaking. So I sent one message back. Can't wait, because I truly couldn't. Not for the gift. For the moment his world started cracking. I also spoke to my financial advisor. Together, we transferred all liquid assets out of joint accounts. I canceled his credit access, froze the car lease, changed the access codes to my home, office, and cloud drive. But most importantly, I pulled up a secondary trust account my father had left me years ago, something Jason never knew existed. That money wasn't tied to any marriage assets, and it was more than enough to do what I was planning. Then came the final step, laying the bait. I replied to his last message. You're right. I've been so serious lately. Let's celebrate when you get home. No questions asked. He replied instantly. I knew you'd understand. He thought I was still in the dark, still naive, still his ATM with a smile. What he didn't realize was that the moment he landed on U.S. soil, I'd already frozen every cent he thought he could claim. So when he walked through the front door, grinning, dragging 2 Louis Vuitton suitcases, I didn't yell. I didn't slap him. I simply said, welcome back. We need to talk. And that was when the game truly began. Jason walked through the front door like he owned the place. Dark sunglasses, tanned face, 2 designer suitcases in tow. He looked like someone who just finished filming a luxury watch commercial. I was sitting at the kitchen island with a cup of chamomile tea, phone in hand. He grinned. Hey, babe, I missed you. I looked up, took a slow sip, and said evenly, we need to talk. His smile faltered for half a second. just long enough to notice. Then he recovered. "Let me shower first. I've been flying all day. You'll love what I brought you." He started unpacking. From the suitcase, he pulled out a red leather purse, then a silk scarf, then a black box with the Cartier logo, still in its European packaging. "Go on. Open it. You deserve something special." I didn't touch the box. Instead, I reached into my folder and laid down a single sheet of paper. "This is a timeline of every charge you made using my card. Here's the photo of you and your friend in Rome. Here's a copy of our prenup. And this," I slid a thick envelope across the counter. "This is from my lawyer." He stared at it like it might bite him. "You're overreacting," he said. "You left your card out. You never said I couldn't use it. I bought you things." His voice rose, but mine didn't. "Jason, you committed fraud. You left the country using stolen financial credentials, and then you bragged about it on a public Instagram account under your real name." He blinked, stammered, started to speak, then stopped. I let the silence stretch, just long enough for it to sting. "You didn't just betray me, you made sure to enjoy it." Then came the unraveling. He tried the emotional card. "You're overthinking this. I've just been lost lately. I wanted to impress you. I wanted to feel like I contributed." He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "If you wanted to contribute, you would have told the truth." He moved to anger. "You think you're so smart, so powerful? You're nothing without me." I raised an eyebrow. "That's interesting, considering you haven't paid a single bill in over a year." He scoffed. "So what now? You're kicking me out, freezing me out of our accounts?" I nodded calmly. "Not just that. I've already reported your activities to the bank and the IRS." And then I said the line that broke him. "Also, that wasn't my real credit card." His eyes widened. "What?" "That was a dummy account. Low limit. Monitored for suspicious activity. You were the test subject." He looked like the floor had dropped beneath him. I continued. "Your spending didn't hurt my finances, but it gave me everything I needed. You tricked me," he whispered. "No," I said. "Standing? You underestimated me. There's a difference." He stormed upstairs. I followed at a distance, watching him yank drawers open and slam closet doors. "Where are my things?" he yelled. "Most of your clothes were rentals. The car is repossessed. The watch you bought? Counterfeit. And the apartment? It was in my name." That's when he cracked. He dropped to the floor, head in his hands, muttering curses into the carpet. I didn't gloat. I didn't scream, "I told you so." I just leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. The next morning, I handed him 2 bags. "You can leave now, or the police can escort you." He left. No grand apology, no tearful goodbye, just one last glare and the slam of the front door. I changed the locks within the hour. Then I took a deep breath and finally opened the Cartier box. It was a diamond ring, large, flashy, expensive, and completely meaningless. I boxed it up again and made a note: "Auction donation, Women's Legal Defense Fund," because I didn't want revenge. I wanted resolution. He thought he could buy silence with sparkle, but I had already bought back my freedom with something far more valuable: clarity. And what came next wasn't just justice. It was legacy. It didn't end with him walking out the door. That was just step 1. I wasn't looking for vengeance. I was looking for closure, with receipts. The day after Jason left, I met my attorney and filed for divorce under grounds of financial fraud and breach of marital trust, both of which triggered a nullification clause in our prenup. Legally, it meant he forfeited any claim to my business, home, or retirement funds. And emotionally, it meant I didn't owe him a damn thing. But I didn't stop there. I had my lawyer draft a restraining order, not because I feared him, but because I knew he'd try to manipulate his way back in. We attached exhibits, a breakdown of his unauthorized charges, screenshots of text messages, photos of him with his coworker, a digital trail that made him look like a financial hit and run. Within 48 hours, a judge granted a temporary freeze on all assets he could access. Every shared account, locked. His credit score, wrecked. And that slick little crypto side hustle he bragged about, reported. But the real checkmate came when I sent everything to the IRS. Because here's what Jason never realized. He wasn't just lying to me, he was lying to them. He hadn't reported half the freelance income he used to fund his secret life. And by charging everything to a card with my name on it, he'd created a paper trail, one that looked a lot like intentional tax evasion. Within weeks, he was under audit. I didn't need to testify. I didn't need to press charges. I just opened the door and let the system do what it does best. Meanwhile, I got busy restoring order to my life. I sold the luxury items he bought and donated every penny to a nonprofit helping women recover from financial abuse. I closed our joint accounts, updated all my passwords, and moved my company to a new LLC, one he had no digital trace of. And the house? I redecorated every room he touched, not to erase him, but to remind myself that he no longer had power here. Then, a few weeks later, I received an envelope. Inside was a letter from his attorney. He wanted mediation, not reconciliation, not forgiveness. Mediation, as in, let's settle this like adults. He was asking for a modest portion of my business revenue in exchange for waiving future claims. I laughed, because he thought I was still the same woman he conned. So I sent him back something else, a printed invoice. Total damages claimed, $61, $842.12. Forensic accounting, emotional distress, identity security services, all itemized, all documented, and a handwritten note attached. You may want to consult a tax attorney before replying. P.S. The purse was cute, though he never responded, but that wasn't the twist that mattered most. The real one came months later. In an email from someone I didn't know. Her name was Chloe. She'd been dating Jason before, during, and after our marriage. And when she found out about me, she didn't rage. She researched. She told me everything. How he used fake startup pitches to get money. How he had done this before, twice. How she lost thousands before realizing he was a parasite. We talked. We connected. And then, together, we launched a website, a simple resource for women to identify financial manipulation and fraud in relationships. We called it Receipts and Recovery, and it took off. I never planned to go public, but when my story went viral, I received over 900 emails in 1 week. Wives, girlfriends, even daughters, all saying the same thing. Thank you. Now I know I'm not crazy. Jason, he tried to sue me for defamation. It didn't go well. Turns out, truth is an ironclad defense, especially when you keep everything. The last I heard, he was couch surfing in New Jersey. And me? I was preparing for a TEDx talk titled, When Love Becomes a Ledger, How to Protect Your Heart and Your Finances. It's strange how silence feels louder after freedom. When Jason left, the house echoed in a different way. Not in a lonely way, but in a clear one. For the first time in years, I could hear my own thoughts without having to translate them for someone else's comfort. I started waking up without anxiety, without checking accounts or wondering what lie I'd have to pretend not to notice that day. The calm wasn't immediate, but it was real. And in that stillness, something beautiful began. I found pieces of myself I'd abandoned to keep the peace. Started painting again, just small canvases at first. Then clients began asking if I'd sell them. I said no, because for once, I wasn't creating for money. I was creating for me. I also changed my morning ritual. Instead of coffee with tension, I took long walks by the lake. I didn't bring my phone, just a small notebook where I scribbled quotes, thoughts, fragments of clarity. One morning, I wrote this. Some people aren't storms, they're shadows, slowly dimming your light until you forget you ever had any. I had forgotten, but now I remembered, and perhaps the greatest joy of all, helping other women remember, too. The website Chloe and I created, Receipts and Recovery, grew into a small movement. We held weekly workshops, invited financial experts, therapists, and, yes, lawyers. Not to scare women, but to empower them, Because financial abuse is often silent. It hides behind romance, behind phrases like, "Let me take care of that." You don't need to worry about money. Just trust me. But real trust isn't blind. It's transparent. I received a letter recently from a woman in Ohio, mid-50s, 2 grown kids. She had spent 28 years married to a man who drained her savings, mocked her intelligence, and left her with nothing but debt and shame. She wrote, "Your story helped me press send on a divorce I delayed for a decade. I read your words every time I feel afraid. They make me brave." I cried when I read it, not because I felt heroic, but because I knew I had once been her. You see, this story was never just about Jason. It wasn't even about the money. It was about reclaiming something deeper, my voice. He thought he was stealing dollars. What he really stole was time. But I got it back, and now I spend it wisely. So here's what I want you to take away. Trust is not an excuse for blindness. If someone avoids transparency, they're hiding something. Documentation is power. Keep records, even when you love deeply. You're not weak for being fooled. You're strong for waking up and stronger for walking away. And if any part of my story felt familiar, if your gut's been whispering that something isn't right, listen, you don't need permission to protect yourself. You don't need to wait for it to get worse. You just need one quiet, steady decision to choose you. Have you ever had to rebuild yourself after betrayal, especially from someone who once held your heart? If you have, I want to hear your story. Drop it in the comments, or just say I'm listening, so others know they're not alone. And if this video gave you even a little courage, subscribe. Not for me, but for you, because the more we speak, the less shame has space to live. In the next video, I'll tell you about a woman who was called pathetic and a hopeless failure by her own mother, without realizing her cousin was live streaming it to the entire family. Let's just say that woman didn't stay quiet for long either, because silence is a strategy, but truth is the revolution.